Pieter Cleppe. He joins me from Brussels. He is the editor-in-chief of Brussels Report EU. Peter, Ukraine, the EU, and the US have all dismissed this ceasefire as a ploy. Do you think that's justified, or should this be seen as an opportunity to possibly turn it into something more?
Well, in itself, it's of course welcome for Russia to make statements like this. But to be fair, I think if you see how Russia was continuing to attack Ukraine on the 25th of December, also on New Year's Eve, it's questionable how sincere this really is. Also, we're talking about an aggressive power. This is not just like a conflict between two countries or something. It's Russia invading the territory of another country. If there should be a ceasefire, it should be permanent by Russia simply pulling out of their neighbor.
As Putin was calling for this ceasefire, the West was pledging more aid to Ukraine, including Germany, which is providing Patriot anti-aircraft missiles. What could be the implications for this war?
Look, not only Germany and France, but also the United States have been very careful not to get dragged into this. I think they have been very clear that they want to help Ukraine, that they want to send money and, of course, defensive equipment. But that they will always make sure not to get dragged into a conflict with Russia. Now the question is which weaponry could be seen by Russia as basically offensive or allowing Ukraine to attack Russia. That's something that Russia basically defines. So it's actually really it's a balancing act. Indeed, what we see is that not only Germany, as you mentioned, but also France is sending ever more capable military equipment to the Ukrainians. So far, I think the sanctions have not proven to be very effective in order to stop Putin. But the arms deliveries to Ukraine, so far so good, have been able to help the Ukrainians. Of course, maybe in 20 years, we look back on this, and if this would all drag the West into a war with Russia, then people will maybe have a different opinion on it. So I think we have to be very moderate and careful. But I think so far, so good, and let's hope that the West still thinks before they send weapons, and really make sure that also the West is not dragged into this terrible war.
As far as those new sanctions imposed by the U.S. on suppliers and manufacturers of Iranian drones, which Russia has used in Ukraine, what are your thoughts on that? Will that have an impact on Russia's warfare?
I'm doubtful, to be honest. It's just very hard to avoid that equipment ends up in Iran, and that it is then being used for also weaponry. This is relatively low tech, these drones. I'm skeptical. Look, if it ends up doing some good, if it ends up complicating the export of drones from Iran to Russia to help the Russians aggress Ukraine, fine. Good, but I don't think this is gonna be I don't think this is gonna make a major difference, unfortunately.
Should there be more calls from the West for mediation, potential negotiations? Should Western allies be pushing Zelensky more to sit down with Putin and negotiate?
That's a good question. Look, I think the one thing the West should not do is to give up the idea of diplomacy. So every move made from the Russian side, or every sort of attempt to get China to push Russia to the negotiating table with real concessions, is welcome. So I think we should continue to try. To be fair, the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, has been trying to talk to Putin. Remember how he was welcomed in Moscow at that very long table. And of course, Macron knew that this was all most likely going to be pointless, but still he tried. And I think we have to continue on that path because I think at some point also in Moscow, there will be some kind of a war fatigue. Of course, there's also fatigue in Western Europe, in the United States. People are starting to question, look, is it all worth it? I mean, do we want to get dragged into this war? This is all very expensive. I mean, that's a reality as well. So I think no matter what we do, we have to always remain open to diplomacy and try to talk to Putin, try to give the Russians channels to talk if they want to talk for real, not if they want to send fake signals of diplomacy.
Turkey's President Erdogan has been pushing for the two sides to negotiate. He spoke with Zelensky and Putin by phone separately on Thursday. Do you think those efforts are making any difference, even though the two sides haven't actually begun negotiations?
I think his efforts are very, very welcome. And to be fair, Erdogan has already had some success, remember, with the grain deal. So, yeah, I mean, Turkey as a NATO ally it is great that Turkey is trying to, contribute to peace. Unfortunately, just like the Western European efforts for now, I don't think we should expect a lot of success. But that does not mean that we should stop trying and that Turkey should stop trying. So I think this is very welcome.
All right, Pieter Cleppe in Brussels, thank you for your time.